this is going to sound so bizarre the way I'm just going to describe this. On the woman that I tested recently, it did incense or some incense in this fragrance. Which alright guys, welcome back to another video. I hope everyone's well. I did actually mean to do this video ages ago, but then I think I did masterpieces for men instead. So these are underrated fragrances for men. I have done like a little bit of a mix for you guys, so I've done a mix of designer and niche. So I think that you guys will really enjoy this. I'm going to make it as short and sweet as possible, because in all honesty you don't really need to hear me ramble all the time. So if you like this style of video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't, then give it a thumbs down, I don't mind. And we'll just jump straight into it. The first fragrance that I have is one that I've spoken about before, and increasingly I've been really testing this on a lot of men's skin, and in all honesty I think it works better on men than women. To be honest, I felt like for a long time that this was a really beautiful woman's fragrance, and I knew that it lent a little bit, you know, unisex, but the more that I've been trying it on men's skin, the more that I've realized, oh, actually it might really suit male pheromones or just men's skin in general more than women's skin. So this is Ghibli from Ella K. Now this is a really wonderful fragrance. To me it almost smells like a little bit gummy bear-ish, and the reason why I say that is because it has like this real jammy sweetness in the base, and I think that in particular with the leather really comes out well on men's skin. And then on women's skin, so I've tested this on another woman's skin recently, and it really went very dirty, very leathery, and it didn't suit her whatsoever. So it's strange how different it can be, you know, just based on genders. And I think this is a really underrated fragrance. Hardly anyone ever speaks about this, which is a real big shame. So the notes are jasmine, nougat, and leather. It's a very simplistic structure. So the jasmine in here almost goes a little bit indolic, a little bit bubblegum, and a little bit sweet and jammy. So typically any type of jasmine fragrances, they can go into that really tropical sweet realm. On top of that you have nougat, and nougat is a really lovely treat. If you guys have never tried it, it's almost like a lactonic nutty type of bar that you can eat. If you guys are into sweet treats, then I think you'd really like it. But what I love about that is it has a lot of milk, creaminess, lactonicness, if that's even a word, and that is what adds that to the fragrance. So on top of that you have the sweetness from the nougat and the nuttiness, and then in the base you have a really smooth suede leather. Now this suede leather can work really well on men's skin. I've always said this a long time. Leather can go either way. It can go quite dirty, it can go quite smooth. Luckily on mine it doesn't go like this, but on the woman that I tested recently it did. It went a little bit dirty, whereas on men's skin, for some reason it just goes really smooth, almost like you're adding iris in here in a really weird way. And you know, it's like you've just taken suede loafers out of a box. It's a really beautiful leather that's in this fragrance, and you know, it's a high oil concentration as well. I know that it is expensive. Definitely sample it if you can beforehand. I've always said this on my channel, don't blind buy guys, always sample beforehand, because you know, I might say all of this and then you might blind buy it and say, actually Pika, that was really disappointing, and I don't want you guys to feel like that whatsoever. So that being said, if you want to try something different, if you want to, you know, smell something that smells almost like gummy bearish, leathery and very unique, then definitely give Ghibli from Ella K a go. Now moving on to the Oud designer realm. I know a lot of you guys or gents will already know this fragrance, and I absolutely love it. This again is unisex leaning, but like with anything, it can smell really great on men as well as women. So this is Oud Blanc from Van Cleef and Arpels. A lot of Van Cleef and Arpels have really fantastic fragrances like Orchid Vanille, Neroli, that Neroli one, California Reverie. This one is probably my favorite, and you know, it's not an overly unique fragrance. I think it's a very linear fragrance, and what I mean by that, it doesn't change very much. So the main notes to me is oud, vanilla and musk, and the vanilla in here is almost leaning a little bit vanilla pod and buttery. It has like that sweet buttery element, almost like you're literally scraping vanilla pods, and it's a really beautiful vanilla. And then on top of that you have a very sweet, very woody, smooth oud, and I absolutely love that about this oud. It's not super animalic, it's not out there in your face, and again it gives this like quite dark woodiness to the fragrance. So gents, if you are into a more woody fragrance, then I think you'd really enjoy this with the tad of vanilla to sweeten it up. And then on top of that you have a really lovely white musk that is running through this fragrance, and I tend to find anything that has white musk in it really balances a fragrance really well. Obviously you have the darkness from the oud, you have the sweetness from the vanilla, but that's all cocooned by a lovely white musk, which almost makes it smell a little bit powdery, very soft and easy wearing. I've had a lot of compliments from this, and I've also had a lot of gents ask to wear this as well, and I know that this is a little bit of a fan favorite. So if you've never tried Eau Blanc from Van Cleef and Arpels, definitely give it a go, especially for anyone who does enjoy more of a woody vanillic kind of fragrance. And as I said, it doesn't really change much on your skin, but especially for the cold weather, if you do want to feel a little bit more cocooned and a little bit more cozy, then this is a really great pick from Van Cleef. Next fragrance again is from a designer house, and I hardly hear any men talk about this. It might be because I don't really follow that many male fragrance content creators. That might be my fault. So if I'm wrong, by the way, just let me know down in the comments. I'm just, you know, going with the flow here. But this is Tik Goutal Eau de Monsieur. The reason why I say designer is because they tend to be found in the more department store-esque kind of shops for some reason in the UK. It might be different in the US, but definitely in the UK, they're almost considered as a little bit of a design house. I don't know whether they do anything else apart from fragrances. I might be wrong. If they don't, then maybe they're considered as niche. I mean, that's one of the big topics in the perfume world. What is considered niche or designer? I don't know. So this is Eau de Monsieur. Now, this is a very, very beautiful citrus, woody leaning kind of fragrance. And I'm just going to spray it a little bit on my hands to remind myself. That is gorgeous. It has a lot of like bergamot, neroli, almost like lemony in the top. Almost as if you're having literally like a lemonade. But on top of that, what's really lovely is you have this underlying woodiness and earthiness that's coming through. And I think especially for gents who do like a little bit more of a sheepred leaning or a more mature fragrance, and I think this is a really great choice. I think you can get it for a decent price as well. And as an everyday, out of the shower, easygoing fragrance, then I think this is a wonderful pick. I don't think it's overly mature, by the way, so any gents that are worried that they're going to smell old-fashioned or whatever the word is that people use nowadays, then I don't think that this one will offend anyone. As I said, it has a really lovely citrus opening. I believe it also has some type of mint or a mentholy type of thing that's going on in here, and that's what makes it slightly more unique, almost leaning a little bit fougere. It has that added sweetness. Also has like some sweetness in the mid, might be coming from some type of floral note, and then in the base you just have a very simple woody, earthy, and that's coming from the patchouli and sandalwood. So in general, this isn't a unique fragrance, but is it a very well done fragrance? Absolutely. And as I said, especially if you just want something easy wearing, maybe even signature scent worthy, then I think this is a great choice. I'm really tempted to get this for my partner because obviously Christmas is coming, and then after Christmas it's his birthday as well, so I'm just really thinking, what fragrance do I buy him as a gift? But I think this is a really great offering. So if you've never tried any Goutal, definitely give them a go. And this one is called Eau de Monsieur. So the next fragrance that I'll be talking to you guys about, sadly I do not have a sample of, but I tried it recently and I think it's massively underrated. So Ormonde have the Monte Bacco line, and a lot of you gents will know this. So they have flankers of Monte Bacco which are almost like limited editions. So Monte Bacco did have one called Verano, but since then they've just created it as a solo fragrance, and oh my god, I tried it in the shop recently when I went to the boutique event like a few weeks ago, and I was genuinely gobsmacked how beautiful this was. So I really love Monte Bacco. I think it's a great fragrance. I think it's also signature scent worthy, but this has like a little bit more of a citrus spin on the Monte Bacco. So this has a really big grapefruit note, and the grapefruit almost like gives this like bitter tanginess in the top, and that runs through the entirety of the fragrance. But what I really love, it still has some of the DNA of Monte Bacco, and Monte Bacco is a really interesting fragrance. It almost has like this like very dry tobacco leaf, ashy, but also just aromatic, leaning a little bit aquatic type of vibe that goes into it. You know, it's really hard to explain. I think they might add some Isoe Super, some other synthetics in here as well to make it smell very ethereal. But what's really lovely about it is obviously you have a lot of naturals that are included as well. I would imagine that maybe the grapefruit is a natural in this fragrance. And oh my god, if you're a fan of citruses, you will absolutely love this. Almost as I said, leans a little bit aquatic, you know, with those ethereal notes, and I just absolutely love it. That ozonic grapefruitness, but then still layered with the tobacco leaf and the ashiness. I just think it's a really wonderful fragrance. Probably one that I will buy for my partner, because I mean, he has hasn't smelt it, but I know what type of olfactory groups that he really enjoys, which is always citrus, always aquatic, and always fruity. So if you are into that, and if you've tried the Montebello range, then I think that you'd really enjoy this fragrance. Or if you enjoy something a little bit more fruity and unique, where if you just want to come out the shower and have it as like a signature scent throughout the day, when it dries, it does dry very, very well, and the base is absolutely wonderful. As I said, goes into that woodiness, almost ozonic type of vibe. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to potentially buying my partner a bottle, and if you've never tried it, I think it's massively underrated. I hardly hear any gents talk about it. It might be because they've separated it into its own fragrance, so whereas before it was a flanker, now it's its own fragrance. Might be because of that, I don't really know, but Ormonde Jayne as a house is massively underrated anyway. If you've never tried Verano from Ormonde Jayne, definitely give that fragrance a go. Last but certainly not least, I have No.7 from Loewe. So No.7 from Loewe, I wouldn't call linear whatsoever. It changes so much on people's skin, and it, you know, it's a really funny fragrance because it has so many layers. I think it is like an eau de toilette. I'm not even sure if it is an eau de parfum. I know that they've come out with like an elixir or like a parfum version of it, so I'm really kind of interested to try that one, but this is absolutely wonderful. I know it might lean like a little bit feminine because it does have some floral and fruity aspects in this fragrance, but I think it's absolutely amazing. I'm just going to give it a little bit of a spray. Wow, so straight off the top you almost have like a candied citrus, appley type of thing that's going on. It's very fruity and sweet, so if you're not into fruity or sweet fragrances, you won't enjoy this, but very soon enough it starts to settle, and I think that's when the real beauty comes into play. So it has a little bit of spice. I think it has like some black pepper and some incense or some incense in this fragrance, which makes it slightly smoky. And then towards the base, that's when it becomes very ambery and woody. So if you can imagine, this is going to sound so bizarre the way I'm just going to describe this. Imagine slicing apples, and then you're kind of mixing that with tree sap, and then you have incense burning in the background. That's as far as it goes in terms of how I can describe this fragrance. It's a really interesting one. As I said, it changes a lot on people's skin. For me in particular, it can go quite fruity and sweet, but then on my partner's skin, not that it has like an ozonic note in it, but it goes a little bit more ozonic, which I find really interesting, and a little bit more woody as well. So I just think this as like a signature scent, again, if you don't want to spend too much money, I think it's only about 60 or 70 quid online. So for a 50 ml, that can last you like a couple of months or so, and you will be remembered by this. I think it's quite mass appealing and just really nice in general. It's a really beautiful fragrance. So if you are into something a little bit more sweet, fruitier, but also has layers in it with that smokiness and almost like that tree sappy woodiness type of vibe in this fragrance, then I think you'd really enjoy this. So yeah, if you've never tried this before, definitely give it a go. I think it's a really underrated fragrance. In general, I think the house of Loewe is quite underrated. I know some men don't really like it, but I genuinely really enjoy it, and they have really amazing picks, especially for women. I know they also have a private one called San Miguel, and that is a really great fragrance. To me, it really reminds me of Oud Vendôme from Ex Nihilo. It's very similar to that, but a little bit more spicy in the beginning with some citruses. It's a really, really great brand. So if you've never tried No.7 from Loewe, definitely give it a go. So gents, I really hope that you enjoyed this video today. If you have any other fragrances that you class as underrated or that I need to try, definitely comment it down below. And yeah, I just hope you guys have a lovely week. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I will catch you in my next video. Bye guys.